Learning multiple languages at the same time sounds amazing. It makes you feel productive, it makes you feel ambitious, and even kind of powerful. But here's the truth no one tells you. And it's that if you try to learn, everything at once, you'll probably end up mastering none. So, my name is Julian. I am from Argentina. I'm really passionate about languages. I've been learning languages over the past 5 years, I think. My native language is Spanish. Maybe I'll talk in Spanish. I'll speak in Spanish later on this video. So, yeah, in this video, I want to share with you my personal experience with trying to learn more than one language at the same time. What I learned along the way and why I decided to focus all my energy on English, especially if your goal is to reach a really high level. So if you're learning multiple languages or thinking about doing it, this video might give you the clarity you didn't know you needed. So there was a time when I fell into that exact trap. I always liked the idea of becoming a polyglot and becoming someone that is able to speak multiple languages at the same time and speak them fluently. And German was intriguing, Portuguese was interesting, Chinese was also really interesting to me. And at the same time, I was still learning English, so I thought, wait, why not learn them all? If I have the time, I can do it. And honestly, in the beginning, I felt unstoppable. I felt super motivated, like I was doing something impressive. But reality hit fast. I realized I wasn't making real progress in any of them. I knew some phrases in each language, a few grammar rules, some vocabulary, but I couldn't really use them. I couldn't have a fluent conversation in any of them, not even in English. And the worst part is that I was putting a lot of, time and effort, but I wasn't moving forward. And that made me feel frustrated and I felt stuck. And that's when I asked myself a really tough question. I asked myself, what do I actually want? Like, do I want to speak multiple languages just a little bit? Or do I want to master one and speak it with naturally, deeply and confidently? And that changed everything. And there's something that I've learned, and it's that when you divide your attention across multiple languages, you are also dividing your energy, your motivation, your time, your progress. And you might feel like you are doing a lot, but you're actually building very little. Because language learning is not just about collecting vocabulary or checking off lessons. It's about depth, connecting with the language, repeating it, living with it, and even thinking in the language. And that requires consistency, repetition, focus, and a lot of time. But like if your brain has to constantly switch between languages, especially early on, it becomes overwhelmed and you start mixing things up. So yeah, one of the biggest mistakes I made when I started learning languages, and I know a lot of people do the same, it's something really normal, and it was that I was expecting, results way too fast. I thought, okay, if I study every day for a few months, I'll be fluent. But it doesn't work like that. You have to be honest that it doesn't have to be like that. It has to take time in order for you to appreciate the process. And like we live in a world where everything is instant. You order food, it shows up in 20 minutes. You want to watch a movie, you click a button and it's there. You post a photo and 2 seconds later someone likes it. So we kind of expect language learning to be the same, quick, easy, instant. But the reality is that it's not gonna happen. So like learning a language is more like getting in shape at the gym. If you go twice, nothing changes. If you go for 2 weeks, you might see tiny progress. but nothing crazy. But if you go for, I don't know, 6 months, a year, 2 years, that's when the real transformation happens. And it's the same with English. You can expect fluency in 3 months. And if you do, then you are kind of setting yourself up for frustration and pretty much failure. Because the moment you don't hit that unrealistic goal, you feel like a failure. And that's when most people quit. But I think what changed everything for me was that I stopped thinking and I stopped asking when I will be fluent. Instead, I started asking, what did I improve today? Did I learn one new word and actually use it? Did I understand a sentence from a series or video? Did I just, I don't know, feel more confident speaking than yesterday? Those small wins, they are invisible in the short term, but they add up, and over time they turn into fluency. So yeah, don't chase fast results. Chase daily progress, because fluency doesn't come from a single big breakthrough. It comes from hundreds of small steps that you repeat day after day. So yeah, and also before you decide whether or not to learn multiple languages, at the same time, you have to ask yourself, like, what is your goal? Do you want to speak English fluently, like a native or close to it? Do you want to, I don't know, understand movies, express deep ideas, I don't know, joke in the language? And if your answer is yes, then yeah, you have to commit to one language, at least for now, because you can't expect to reach a advanced level if you're constantly dividing your focus. Languages need time. They need space in your brain, in your daily life. But if your goal is more casual, like reaching a basic or intermediate level just to travel or have fun, then yeah, maybe you can learn the languages, multiple languages at once. But you have to accept the trade-off. Slower progress, more mental fatigue, and less fluency overall. But I'm not saying one goal is better than the other. I'm just saying that you have to be honest with yourself, because once I got honest with myself, everything changed, and I stopped pretending I could master 5 languages at once, and I said, okay, English first, and I will go all in. No distractions, and I've never regretted that decision. So once I focus only on English, things started to change. I improve way faster. I remember more without trying. I feel more connected to the language. And that is the power of focus, because you're not starting from zero every day. You are building on what you already know, and you're making progress that sticks. So yeah, I'm not against learning multiple languages. I still love other languages, and one day I'll be back to them. But now I know the right time to do that. And I think that there are some cases where learning more than one language can work. And those cases are, well, if you are already fluent or advanced in one, and you just want to kind of maintain it while learning a new one, then it can work. Or you have completely different goals, like you want to, I don't know, maybe you only want to read in one language and speak in the other. Or maybe you just learning one language very casually, like 5 minutes a day. But the key is, don't lie to yourself. Like, if you want fluency in one language, like deep natural fluency, yeah, you have to commit, because otherwise you will be spinning in circles for years. And there's something powerful, something almost life-changing, I would say, that happens when you actually finish what you started. And most people never get to feel that. They jump from one thing to the next, from one app to another, from one language to another. and they're always starting but never finishing. And because of that, they never they never experience what real progress actually feels like. But when you stick to one language, when you give it a time, when you go all in, something shifts. You stop relying on motivation because now you have results, and you don't need to force yourself anymore. It becomes a part of who you are, pretty much. And I remember that exact moment. um, I was watching a video in English without subtitles, and for the first time I understood everything. I wasn't translating, I wasn't in my head, I was just consuming the language like it was my first language. And later on, I I started speaking with people from other countries, and they say things like, "Wait, are you sure you're not from the U.S.?" And they would say things like, "How did you get such a natural accent?" And that's when it hit me. I Because all those hours I spent practicing, all those moments when I felt stuck, frustrated, tired, they were worth it. They were building something, and now I can see it. But at the moment, I was like, am I gonna arrive someday? So I would say that is the reward of choosing depth um, over distraction. Because you build confidence that is not fake. You develop skills that stays with you forever. And I would say most importantly, you start to believe in yourself in a way you maybe never did before. So if you're trying to learn multiple languages right now and you feel like you are not really moving forward, I want to challenge you. I want you to pick one language. I want you to commit, and I want you to go all in. Give it 6 months. Give it 1 year. However long it takes, because the version of you that's on the other side of that decision, speaks with confidence, thinks in another language, feels proud of their progress, and knows deep down that they can finish what they start. And ya, quiero terminar este video hablando en español porque quiero que quede algo en claro. Y es que no necesitas vivir en otro país para aprender un idioma a un nivel muy alto. Yo nunca viví en Estados Unidos, nunca me fui a un país de habla inglesa. Además, el único país al que viajé fue a Chile y ellos hablan en español, así que nada, no pagué cursos ni miles de dólares, no tuve profesores todos los días que me digan que lo que estaba haciendo estaba bien o no. Todo lo que aprendí lo hice desde mi casa, con una computadora, con internet, recursos que en su mayoría eran gratis, videos, podcasts, libros, aplicaciones. Lo único que sí tuve que invertir fue tiempo, mucho tiempo, y disciplina, ¿no? Y muchas horas, todos los días. A veces practicando pronunciación, a veces viendo series sin subtítulos, repitiendo frases, aprendiendo vocabulario. Nada, y si tengo que darte un consejo, el más importante de todos, es que te enfoques en un solo idioma. Estoy hablando de las personas que están interesadas en aprender varios idiomas a la vez. Es que sí, que se propongan solo un idioma por un tiempo y se enfoquen y le metan con todo a ese idioma. Porque yo me di cuenta que cuando dividía mi tiempo entre varios idiomas, avanzaba muy lento y me olvidaba muchísimo de lo que aprendía. Pero el día que dije, voy a aprender solo inglés, nada más, me voy a enfocar en este idioma por un tiempo, todo cambió. Creo que fue un momento donde los resultados realmente comenzaron a venir. Y nada, hablaba mucho mejor, entendía más rápido. Así que enfocarte te permite aprovechar mejor, ¿no? Cada minuto de estudio, cada hora que le dedicas. Y como dije antes, como mencionaba antes, no empezás desde cero todos los días, ¿no? Construís sobre lo que ya sabes. Y eso es lo que con el tiempo para mí te lleva a hablar con fluidez, ¿no? En inglés le dicen compounding effect. Y creo que es algo muy real, algo que pasa como en casi todo, ¿no? Si vas al gimnasio, el efecto compuesto de ir todos los días, de meterle por años, es lo que te va a llevar a ese cambio que te querés lograr. Así que si tu meta es llegar a un nivel muy alto, no solo defenderte en el idioma, sino pensar y comunicarte como si fuera tu segundo idioma, sí, elegí uno y comprometete con él. No necesitas mudarte, no necesitas gastar fortuna, solo constancia, un buen uso de tu tiempo y un plan claro. Y si yo lo logré desde mi casa, creo que todo el mundo puede. La diferencia no está realmente en dónde vivís, sino cómo trabajas todos los días y cómo usas tu tiempo para acercarte a tu meta. Now I want to switch again to English. Yeah, I've decided I'm going to be more consistent with this channel. I want to upload videos more often, and I want to share more of what I've learned and bringing you content that actually helps you move forward with your language learning. And I'm also seriously considering making videos both in English and Spanish, because I know that there are a lot of people out there that, well, who might feel connect more with one language than the other, and I want to reach them too. And I want to make this channel a space where learners from anywhere in the world can find something that inspires them, whether they're just starting or already on the path. Some videos might be fully in English, so you can listen, practice, and immerse yourself. Others video might be in Spanish to explain things more deeply, or just connect in a different way. And sometimes maybe I'll mix both, like in this video, because I think that contrast can be powerful. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, for supporting this channel. Every comment, every like, every message matters more than you think, and it's what makes me keep going and makes me want to create more videos. So yeah, stick around. We got a lot to explore together, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video.